Well, hey everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is John Campea and this is Open Mic, an all open forum chat discussion show talking about movies and movie news and things in television, whatever it is you guys want to talk about, because this is Open Mic. Now, I am still on vacation. I'm up at the Campea Ranch up in Canada right now. So a couple disclaimers. That's why I'm not in my studio. But also, we're in the middle of nowhere out here on the ranch. And so we have some spotty internet. So you might experience some buffering through the show if you're watching live. Otherwise, I hope it goes well for everything else. And starting on Monday, we will be back with the John Campea Show. Me and Robert Meyer Burnett will be back in on Monday in our actual studio to do stuff. But, we still want to talk about movies even though it's the holidays. So that's why we're here right now doing Open Mic. And today on Open Mic, we got a little bit of a theme. Today, I'm going to talk about a bunch of the movies that we have coming out in 2019 that I'm really looking forward to. And I've got my top 20, all right? I've got my top 20 movies, my most anticipated movies for 2020. Now, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on a lot of those because next week, I'm going to do a more in-depth breakdown of all the movies we should be looking forward to in 2019. So I'm just going to touch on them a little bit here today. So let me tell you about some of the movies that I'm really looking forward to in 2019. And then I want to hear what movies you're looking forward to in 2019 and whatever other topics you guys want to talk about. All right. Some honorable mentions that didn't make it onto my top 20, but I'm still really looking forward to these movies. X-Men Dark Phoenix. Yeah, X-Men Apocalypse wasn't all that good, but the last 3 X-Men films besides that, including the Deadpool films and everything, have been great. So I'm really looking forward to X-Men Dark Phoenix. Flarsky, which is a Seth Rogen comedy with Charlize Theron, where Seth Rogen plays an adult dude who still has a crush on the woman who used to be his babysitter, played by Charlize Theron, and he's still kind of pursuing her. That sounds hilarious to me. It's called Flarsky. Keep your eyes open for that. Godzilla, King of the Monsters, Aladdin, Rocket Man. I think this looks fascinating with Taron Egerton. This looks really interesting. I cannot wait to see Rocket Man. Hellboy. I know a bunch of people didn't like the trailer. I'm surprised. I thought the trailer was really fun. But I know a lot of you guys didn't like it, but whatever. But Hellboy is still one of my honorable mentions for the movies I'm really looking forward to this year. Glass is one of the films I'm really looking for. Didn't make my top 20, but I'm still very excited about seeing Glass. Greyhound with Tom Hanks, where he plays like a naval warship captain back in the World War. That is going to be awesome. So I'm really looking forward to that as well. So those are some of my honorable mentions. X-Men Dark Phoenix, Flarsky, Godzilla, King of the Monsters, Aladdin, Rocket Man, Hellboy, Greyhound, and Glass. All right. Now let's get into my top 20. All right, let's get into my top 20. Now, the first 15 are in no particular order, and then I'll give you my countdown of my top 5. So these next 15 are in no particular order, but they are in my top 20. All right. Jordan Peele's Us. Now, I didn't lose my mind like a lot of you guys did on the Us trailer. I didn't completely lose my mind over that trailer, but I still thought it was very good. I still thought it was very, very good. And because it's Jordan Peele, and I love what he did with Get Out and all that kind of stuff, you have to be looking forward to this. So Us gets into my top 20. Also, Pet Sematary. A movie that when they said they were doing it, and I'm all for remakes, I really am. I just didn't know why you would do a remake of that. And then I saw the trailer, totally changed my mind on it. This looks awesome. Pet Sematary is in my top 20. Another one, Ad Astra. Now, some of you may not have heard of this one yet. This is one with Brad Pitt and Tommy Lee Jones. It's set in the future. It's a little bit of sci-fi. Tommy Lee Jones plays Brad Pitt's father, who many years ago went off on a mission to go to Neptune. And he went missing and was never heard from again. And now Brad Pitt is going to go and try to figure out what happened to his father. Sounds amazing to me. Ad Astra gets in my top 20. Another movie I hated the sound of before seeing the trailer, and then the trailer totally sold me on it. Detective Pikachu. I mean, look, it's involving Ryan Reynolds, so I'm going to be at least mildly interested in anything that Ryan Reynolds is involved in, right? So if Ryan Reynolds is involved, I'm at least interested. But really? Detective Pikachu? And then I saw the trailer. And the trailer was, I'll use the D word, ladies and gentlemen. The trailer was delightful. The trailer was totally delightful. I enjoyed it. Totally surprised me. So Pikachu gets on my top 20 most anticipated list. Also my top 20, Gemini Man. That's a new Will Smith one where there's a little bit of Looper in there. There's a little bit of Rian Johnson's Looper in there where I believe it's set in the future. Will Smith plays a hitman who a younger clone of him is now out trying to kill him. Sounds fascinating. He's got an excellent director on board. So Gemini Man makes it my top 20. Also my top 20, It Chapter 2. I mean, come on. It was such a great surprise for all of us last year. Cannot wait to see the follow-up. It Chapter 2 is in my top 20. Some of you won't put this next one in your top 20, but I unapologetically put this in my top 20 most anticipated. Fast and the Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw. I love the Hobbs and Shaw's characters. I love Jason Statham. I love Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. The Fast and Furious got rejuvenized by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson coming into the franchise. Now they've got their own spinoff. My one big complaint about the last Fast and Furious film is that, Hobbs and Shaw had this great on-screen chemistry, but they didn't really have much time together, and now they're going to give us a whole movie of it. I'm really looking forward to Hobbs and Shaw. Next up in my top 20, of course, this one's on for all of us. John Wick Chapter 3. Come on. John Wick is riding on a horse through the city shooting people. John Wick Chapter 3 has got to be in our top 20. So John Wick Chapter 3 is in our top 20. Also my top 20, Captain Marvel. I think this looks great. Kevin Feige has, with some minor missteps here and there, with things like Iron Man 2, Thor 2, whatever. Kevin Feige has done no wrong with the MCU up until this point. Now he's got an Academy Award-winning actress in the lead. I think this movie looks great. Cannot wait to see it. It might turn out to be horrible, but who knows? But Captain Marvel makes it in my top 20. Okay, let's now move on. Speaking of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Jumanji 2. That first Jumanji movie they did last year. I mean, look, I like Kevin Hart and I like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, but really, why do a Jumanji movie? Couldn't you not? And it was awesome. Almost came this close to joining the $1 billion club because it just had such terrific legs, because people loved it and kept going back to it. It was wonderful. I'm looking forward to going back to that world again with them. So Jumanji 2 makes it into my top 20. Also my top 20. The next Tom Hanks, the other Tom Hanks film, Greyhound, made into my honorable mentions, but Tom Hanks does get into my top 20 with You Are My Friend. Obviously, he's playing Mr. Rogers. How perfect is that? So yes, You Are My Friend makes it into my top 20 where he's playing Mr. Rogers. Of course, we're coming off of a year where we just saw that one of the best documentaries I had ever seen, Won't You Be My Neighbor, about Fred Rogers. So seeing him actually play Mr. Rogers, going to be awesome. You Are My Friend makes it my top 20. Also in my top 20, Warner Brothers presents The Joker with Joaquin Phoenix. I love that they're doing this. It's not just that they're doing a Joker movie, and it's not just that they got Joaquin Phoenix playing the Joker, both of which amazing on their own. I have loved this idea since day one because we're getting, and some people are saying in the chat board, it's Jumanji 3. No, it's Jumanji 2. Just accept that. Anyway, the notion that Warner Brothers is doing a movie outside of the DCEU and isn't connected to the DCEU in any way. I love this. I have been asking for studios to get back to making some truly standalone comic book property. Not everything has to be, shared universes are great, but fuck's sakes, not everything needs to be a shared universe. Break that mold, get out of that damn formula. Get back to some true standalone stuff again. And I love that they're doing this. Who knows? Maybe the movie will turn out to be a mess. Maybe. But I love that they're even trying this. And I think the Joker character is a good one to do it with. And obviously with Joaquin Phoenix, that's a great one to do it with too. So Joker is in my top 20 most anticipated films list. All right. Also making the list in the animated world, How to Train Your Dragon 3. How to Train Your Dragon 1 and 2, just flat out, they've both been amazing. How to Train Your Dragon 1 and 2, both completely amazing. Love it. Love it. And 3, the trailers look great. Trailers look great and fun and exciting. They move the characters along. I think it was charming. How to Train Your Dragon 3 gets on my list. Also, on my top 20 list, also coming from Warner Brothers, Shazam. Look, I know there were some people who were kind of skeptical when they announced that they cast Zach, as the lead role. I loved the casting. And I think when they announced his casting, it told us what kind of movie they're going to try to make, which in my personal opinion is the type of movie they should make for a Shazam character. And after seeing Aquaman and seeing this kind of new direction that Walter Hamada is taking the DCU, I think it's a great move. I'm very excited, and I love the trailer that they debuted at Comic-Con. Looking forward to seeing Shazam. All right. Final movie in my top 20. Now, all these ones I mentioned so far have been out of order, but I will say that this one is my number 6. This one is I was only going to give me my top 5, but here are my top 6. In the number 6 position, Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I can't begin to tell you how much I'm salivating for this movie. First of all, it's Quentin Tarantino, great. The time period he's doing it in. He's got Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt in the lead roles, and Margot Robbie, by the way. Oh, and about 50 other incredible performers as well. This has had me excited from the first day I've heard about it. I cannot wait to see this damn thing. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is my number 6 most anticipated film of 2019. Now we get into our top 5. At number 5, Spider-Man Far From Home. Listen, the collaboration between Sony and Marvel that resulted in Spider-Man Homecoming, I was completely impressed with. Yeah. I don't like the whole Iron Man Jr. aspect of it, but whatever. That's just one thing. Overall, I loved what they did. And I loved how the two companies kind of brought two different philosophies to the character and made one really impressive movie out of it. It was true Spider-Man. It was true Peter Parker. They brought in elements of the MCU without overshadowing. See, from the trailers, I was afraid in Spider-Man Homecoming that it was going to be Iron Man 4 with special guest Spider-Man. That's what the trailers made it look like, and I'm really glad it wasn't. It truly was Spider-Man's movie with some hints of the MCU thrown in, which was just the perfect amount. And now leading this, you got Jake Gyllenhaal joining the cast. You got Samuel L. Jackson in there now. I mean, I cannot help but be really, really excited. So Spider-Man Far From Home is my number 5. Spider-Man Far From Home is my number 5. Okay. Number 4, Toy Story 4. Look, animated or not, the Toy Story trilogy is one of the best trilogies in cinematic history. It's certainly the most highest critically rated trilogy in all of cinematic history. The Toy Story movies are basically perfection. Absolute perfection. And after they did Toy Story 2 and they announced they were doing Toy Story 3, everybody said, oh, you're going to ruin the franchise. Why do 3? You're just going to ruin it. It ended great. And then they did Toy Story 3 and it was nominated for Best Picture. Now they're doing Toy Story 4. But 3 was a perfect ending. You don't need to do 4. It's like, didn't we hear this song and dance before? I mean, I have no reason not to be supremely confident in the Toy Story franchise. I cannot wait to see it. It is my number 4 most anticipated film of the year. All right. Number 3. My number 3 most anticipated film of the year, Avengers Endgame. Just last night, me and my family sat down to watch A Quiet Place last night because my mom never watched it, right? And then next up on Netflix, it just started playing Avengers Infinity War. And even though it was late, we all stayed up and just watched Avengers Infinity War again because it's just that fun. The follow-up, I love Marvel's strategy here of having this next Avengers 4, Avengers Endgame, whatever you want to call it. I love the fact that they're having Avengers 4 just 1 year after Avengers 3. I thought it was a great strategy. I appreciate this movie a little bit more every time, at least Infinity War. I appreciate it more every time I watch it like I did last night. And yeah, I mean, there's just no way you could keep Endgame out of my top 3. So Endgame is my number 3 most anticipated movie of 2019. Number 2, Lion King. I was not prepared when that trailer dropped. There were 2 things I was not prepared for. Number 1, I was not prepared for how emotionally moved I was going to feel watching the new trailer. It just moved me far more emotionally than I thought it would. And that was incredible. But the second thing I was not prepared for was the worldwide response to that trailer. It was the response to that trailer that really shocked me. And one of the things I've been talking about is that things that like big Star Wars movies and big Marvel movies do is they get the hardcore movie fans excited and they get the casual movie fans excited. What makes this Lion King thing so special is that, number one, it's getting the hardcore fans excited. Number two, it's getting the casual movie fans excited. But number three, it's also getting people who don't go to the movies excited. And we've heard so many stories about this, about people, like I've had it in my life. We've had a bunch of you guys writing in and telling me, I got my brothers and sisters who never go to the movies and they're like, we got to go see this Lion King thing. It's hitting all three of those quadrants, right? And we don't see that very often. And after what Jon Favreau did with Jungle Book, to see what he could possibly do with Lion King, outstanding. It's my number 2 most anticipated film of the year. Which then brings us to number 1. No big surprise, because you guys know I'm a Star Wars guy. The film I am most excited about this year is obviously Star Wars Episode 9, because it's a Star Wars movie. Now, you could say, but John, Solo was a Star Wars movie, and you said they shouldn't have even made that. Yeah, but this is Star Wars proper. This is Star Wars proper. I love what J.J. Abrams did with The Force Awakens. I loved The Force Awakens. It's one of those movies. I remember me and Schnepp used to say we just kept going at lunch hour. We just kept walking across the street to the AMC Burbank 16 to watch The Force Awakens again and The Force Awakens again. And every time we would see it, we just liked it more and more and more and more. And J.J. Abrams being back for this, I would have rather seen Steven Spielberg direct Episode 9. I'll be honest with you, yes, but to have J.J. come back and do this, I think it's great. So that's my most anticipated movie of the year. Now remember, guys, I'm not saying these are going to be the 20 best movies of the year. I mean, who knows? We have no idea how that's going to turn out. Simply talking about my level of excitement and how excited I am to run out and see them. A bunch of these movies I just put off on my list could suck. Odds are a couple of them will suck. But these are the ones I'm looking forward to the most. So again, honorable mention to X-Men Dark Phoenix, Flarsky, Godzilla King of the Monsters, Aladdin, Rocketman, Hellboy, Greyhound, and Glass. My top 20 are, in no particular order, Us, Pet Sematary, Ad Astra, Detective Pikachu, Gemini Man, It Chapter 2, Hobbs & Shaw, John Wick 3, Captain Marvel, Jumanji 2, You Are My Friend, Joker, How to Train Your Dragon 3, Shazam, and in the top 6 spots, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Spider-Man Far From Home, Toy Story 4, Avengers Endgame, Lion King, and Star Wars Episode 9. That are my most anticipated films of 2019. And again, guys, next week I'll probably do a more detailed breakdown of the movies to look forward to, some more information about the movies that we have to look forward to, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's my list, guys. Happy 2019 indeed. This is going to be, I believe, a great, because even if just half of these movies end up being nearly as good as we think they can be, 2019 is going to be a remarkable year for film. So I'm excited. Okay, let's now go on to the main part of the show here, which is I got ice, and I didn't mean to get ice in that sip. Okay. Which is, of course, taking your thoughts and your opinions about what's going on and your questions about what's going on. So if you want to talk about your most anticipated, great. If you want to talk about something completely different, that's great. Let's get to it right now. And we're going to start things off with Trojan of Narnia, who writes, I know that film is subjective, but is acting talent? Yeah, absolutely it is. For example, can we objectively say that Daniel Day-Lewis is a better actor than Tommy Wiseau? Nope, you can't. Because, again, obviously to me, Daniel Day-Lewis is the greatest actor of all time. But to say objectively, that means you have an empirical unit of measurement that can prove it. You can't. There is no empirical, impartial unit of measurement to definitively and objectively say that Daniel Day-Lewis is a better actor than Tommy Wiseau. It doesn't exist. I have empirical units of measurement that I could tell you how tall this glass is. There's an impartial, empirical unit of measurement that I could take and measure the top to the bottom and tell you exactly how tall this thing is. And applying the same unit of measurement to this water bottle, that looks a lot like one of the filthy awards, I can then empirically, objectively tell you, because I applied units of measurement, tell you which one of these two things is taller. I can do that. You can't do that with actors. No matter how much you want to cry and scream and yell about, you can do that all you want. Fact of the matter is, science, baby. There is no empirical, impartial, objective unit of scientific measurement to definitively and objectively tell you that that actor is better than that actor. It's feel. It's art. It's an art. Now, you can say more people believe that Daniel Day-Lewis is a better actor than Tommy Wiseau. Of course we do, but still, that's not an objective, impartial unit of measurement because that's people with their own subjective opinions. So that's not an empirical, impartial, objective unit of scientific measurement. And if you do not have an empirical, objective, impartial unit of scientific measurement to properly scientifically define the parameters of something, then you cannot objectively say one thing is more than another. You can't. It's like saying, is blue objectively prettier than red? What do you measure that by? No. So, I mean, obviously, to me, Daniel Day-Lewis is the greatest actor of all time. But can I objectively say that he is? No, I can't do that because it's an art. And acting is an art. It's not a science. It's an art. And as an art, it is subjective by scientific definition. To deny that means you deny science. And that's just kind of silly, at any rate. All right. Let's see. Ben Hayusa writes, my anticipated movies of 2019, Endgame, Lion King, Toy Story 4, Pikachu, Godzilla, Joker, Shazam, It Chapter 2, Pet Sematary, Hobbs and Shaw, and Sonic. I have no desire to see Sonic. I have no desire at all to see Sonic. Now, there have been other movies that have come along that I had no desire to see, and I ended up loving them, and hopefully Sonic ends up being that. And I will admit, you casted Jim Carrey in that. Okay, that's a little bit intriguing. But for now, my interest level in Sonic is still pretty low. But I've got some friends that are looking forward to it, and clearly, Ben, you are as well. And, pardon me, other than that, most of the films you listed are on my list as well. All right, let's move on here. Ben Rayner writes, in no particular order, number 1, Glass, number 2, Hellboy, number 3, John Wick, 4, Captain Marvel, 5, Endgame, 6, Far From Home, 7, Joker, 8, Episode 9, 9, Lion King, 10, Hobbs and Shaw. Again, I think, well, Hellboy was in my honorable mentions. Glass was also in my honorable mentions. But John Wick, Captain Marvel, Endgame, Far From Home, Joker, Episode 9, Lion King, Hobbs, all in my top 20 as well. All in my top 20 as well. Guys, it's going to be a really good year for movies. I'm so excited for this year in film. All right. Sharon Aurora writes, was in LA and saw Kevin Smith. I squealed. The funny thing is, like, living in LA is, especially me, look, I'm a Canadian boy, right? I'm a good Canadian kid. Living in LA, it is crazy. Like, Ann and I we were just driving, and we drive past Warner Brothers every day because it's on the same street that we drive up and down almost every day, right? And we're driving by Warner Brothers, and we come to this stoplight and pulling right up into our car beside us, and Ann looks over because she was driving. I'm in the passenger seat. Ann's here. I'm in the passenger seat, and she looks past me. She goes, oh, look. I turn to my side, and there's this SUV beside us, and there's Adam Levine just in his car singing to himself, blah, blah. It's like, oh, yeah, there's Adam Levine. This pardon me, this stereotype is true. You live in LA and you will stumble across these celebrities all the time. It is kind of crazy, but it's true. You will, if you're in LA long enough, you stumble across celebrities all the time, which is kind of funny. Vrinder Singh writes, apart from Avengers and Star Wars, The Joker is my most anticipated film of the year. Also, Ad Astra seems interesting with Brad Pitt. I cannot agree more. I think Ad Astra looks and sounds really fascinating. I think it sounds fascinating. And again, The Joker, yes, it's The Joker, so I'm excited about that. Yes, it's Joaquin Phoenix, so I'm excited about that. But I just love that Warner Brothers is stepping outside of this formula that everybody is following right now, that everything's got to be a shared cinematic universe. Everything has to be a shared cinematic universe. Making a piece of toast, it better be in a shared cinematic universe somewhere. And And not that I don't like shared cinematic universes. I love shared cinematic universes, but I don't want just shared cinematic universes. I want some great standalone stories again. Like The Dark Knight. Like Spider-Man 2. It's just, give me some standalone movies again, man. And I love that they're doing that. I'm very, very excited about that. All right. Ben Rayner writes, over under 25% New Mutants actually opens in theaters and doesn't go directly to any streaming service. In my opinion, I take the under on that. How about you? I take 90% that it does. It's going to open in theaters. I mean, I'm not going to say 100% because you never know. You never know. But if you had given me the over under at 85.5%, I'd take the over on 85.5, let alone 25. I think it is, I would put money. Not a lot. I would put $5 that it is going to open in theaters. I have very, very little doubt of that. I feel that it will open in theaters. Again, nothing's guaranteed, and you very well could be right, Ben. But I'll put my $5 on that it is going to open in theaters. All right. Lee Mallinson writes, we joke about Disney paying off critics, but what's your take on critics accepting Blu-rays, set visits, premieres from Disney? Is that a form of bribery? Oh, God, no. And first of all, just to be clear, Lee, I have received Blu-rays, set visits, and premieres from every major studio. I've gone to Warner Brothers premieres. I've gone to Paramount premieres. I've gone to Sony set visits. I get DVDs, for your consideration DVDs and stuff like that all the time from every major studio. Every studio does it. And it's just part of marketing. It's just part of marketing. Here's the thing. And I've gone off on this before, so indulge me here as I go off on this again for a second. Let me just grab something as a point of an example, okay? Just going to grab a disc from here. Is a Blu-ray a form of bribery? Let's see. I'm in an industry, my entire livelihood, and I'm just representative of, most movie critics. I'm a fairly decent representation of most movie critics. My entire livelihood is based. Now, look, I say things that you guys agree with all the time, and I say things that you guys disagree with all the time. But the one thing because it's not my job to say things you agree with, right? I've said that 1,000 times. It is not my job to say things that you agree with. And that's fine. And most of my audience is smart enough to know that, yeah, we don't want to just hear things we already agree with. We want to hear different points of view. That's great. But I have no career. I have no job if you guys don't know that when I say something that you either agree with or say something that you disagree with, it's actually my opinion. I'm never going to tell you something that isn't my actual opinion. And that means sometimes that when there's a movie out that everybody loves, Roma, and I don't, I have to be honest with you guys. I know it makes me look silly. I know it makes me look like one of the uncool kids to say that I watched Roma and I didn't like it. I know the popular thing is to say that I liked Roma. I know that. And I wish I liked Roma so I could be in the cool kids category, but I didn't like it. So when it comes time for me to start my show and get on camera and talk to you guys, what you guys expect from me is not to say things that you agree with or disagree with. You expect me to tell you what my actual real opinion is. My entire career is based on that. If I don't have that, I don't have anything. You may like what I say, you may not like what I say, but whatever it is I say, it's what I actually think. Oh, this studio sent me a Blu-ray of King Kong. I'm going to throw my whole career out the window because I got a $7 DVD. Is that bribery? Is that bribery? No. God, I don't even... Look, I just got a whole pack of DVDs from a bunch of different studios, like in there for your consideration, your year end. Hey, as you're doing your best of the list years and stuff like that, consider these movies. And hey, they give us a disc so we can watch them again in case we want to include them in our best of the year list, or if we're a part of an awards voting body or whatever. And I just got a whole ton of them. Most of them are going to end up in the garbage. Because I don't collect Blu-rays or DVDs. I have my whole career that I base my entire life on. Oh, but you gave me a disc. Oh. No. Well, John, and then what gets really funny is that there are these things that people in my profession get to do that people who aren't in my industry think, oh my gosh, that's so awesome, when really it's stupid. Like, I get people, well, John, you get to go to all these press events, you get to sit down and talk with the stars, blah, blah. Do you know that I hate that shit? And that I stopped doing it back in the AMC days because it was just such a pain in the ass and we never got anything out of it? Like back in the early AMC days, I went to every press junket and I sat down and I talked with all the stars and blah, 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 blah. But you know what I found out real fast? They suck. Not the stars. The stars are great, but press junkets suck. They suck. And we got nothing out of them. Like, I would do a video, I remember at AMC, I would do a video on, hey, here are my top 5 Jim Belushi movies, out of random, right? And I would get 10,000 views of that. And then, oh, but here's my sit-down one-on-one interview with Nicole Kidman, and it would get like 200 views. Because nobody gives a shit about those, and we got nothing out of them. They took up most of my day. I would have to go the night before to watch the stupid movie. Then I'd have to go for 3 or 4 hours, sit around in a hotel, wait for my turn to sit down with some actor in a movie for 3 minutes. And I just wasted my whole day for that, and we get no views out of it whatsoever. And so I finally went to AMC and I said, and AMC loved that we got these celebrity interviews. It was a prestige thing, right? But I finally went to AMC and I said, we're not doing these anymore because they're pointless and they're stupid and they just take up time. Now, I know for somebody who's not in our industry, oh, you get to go and sit down with Nicole Kidman for 3 minutes? I know on the outside looking in, that sounds really cool. And maybe the first time you do it or the first 3 times you do it, it is cool. But after that, you realize this is a pointless waste of my time. It's a pointless waste of everybody's time. No one's going to watch these videos. I ate up an entire day. Now, if you want to offer me, spend the weekend with Jennifer Garner in Honolulu, okay, maybe that's something. Sit down for 3 minutes, chat, and get out, and you wasted your whole day for that? Nah. So back in the AMC days, I cut it out. I cut them out, and I stopped them because they were pointless. And they were useless, and they were just a pain in the ass. Is that bribery? Nah. No, it was actually a major pain in my ass. What about set visits? Ooh, set visits. Again, the early part of my days at AMC, I did a bunch of set visits. You know what I found out? They were more of a stupid waste of time, pain in the ass, than going to the dumb press junkets. Because you know what you think, oh, set visits, they fly you out for 3 weeks to be on location in these exotic locales. No. You know what most set visits are? Here's a great example of a set visit. There was a movie in my third year, I guess, at AMC. There was a movie, they were shooting in Pennsylvania. And they said, we want to fly you down for a set visit. But I knew what that meant. Here's what it meant. Get on a flight on Monday morning, or say Monday afternoon. Fly for 6 hours. Land at 10 p.m. Check into your hotel. Wake up at 8. Be on set for 3 hours. And then by 1 p.m., be on another 6-hour flight back to Los Angeles. It's excruciating. It's pointless. It's dumb. Now, don't get me wrong. I worked road construction as a kid. Would I rather do that or dig ditches? Well, I'd rather do that, clearly. But is that bribery? Is that something I would want to do again? No. As a matter of fact, I remember I got invited to a set visit for Age of Ultron, right? There's a movie I'd be really excited about, right? I didn't go. I knew John Schnepp would love it, so I let John Schnepp go and take my place. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll send one of my guys. I'll send John Schnepp to go see, because he'd never been to one of those things, I don't think. So to a Marvel set visit. So I let him go, and he loved it, and he had a great time. Great. But I didn't even want to go. It's like, really? Do I want to spend 12 hours on a plane, round trip, to be on set for 3 or 4 hours, standing around doing nothing, and then fly back? I get it. From the outside, that sounds like it's really glamorous and cool. But no, that's why I stopped doing them. You guys notice I had never done another set visit since like halfway through my AMC tenure. Haven't done another set visit since halfway through my AMC tenure. Because it's really just a pain in the ass. It's work. It's better work than a lot of other work, but it's still work and it's a pain in the ass. Is that bribery? Maybe if you weren't a professional in this industry, it sounds like bribery, but if you're actually in this industry, you realize what a pain in the ass it is and you don't want to do it. And so I don't do it. What about premieres? Premieres are fun. I enjoy premieres. I do. I go to Warner Brothers premieres frequently. I go to Paramount premieres frequently. I go to Disney premieres frequently. I like premieres. They're a lot of fun. The main reason, though, I like going is because I get to take my wife. I get to take Anne, and Anne loves getting dressed up and going to these things. But when Anne's not in town and I've got a premiere, I don't go. And I was like, but you're in the theater with all the stars. Yeah, but it's not like I'm sitting down like I was at the Black Panther premiere, and I was literally sitting 2 seats over from Donald Glover, from Childish Gambino, 2 seats down, right? That's cool. But it's not like I sat down and had coffee with the guy for 3 hours. I do like premieres. I do, but full disclosure, it's not like press junkets it's not like press junkets, and it's not like set visits that are just more of a pain in the ass and everything. I dig premieres. I like them. They're very low effort. Get dressed up, go see the movie with all stars. Everybody's dressed up, and it's a big event kind of feel, and I like those. I do. I like them, but I also skip them sometimes. But that's kind of like getting a free DVD. Are you going to put your entire career? Are you going to compromise your entire career for a DVD? Are you going to compromise your entire career for going to see a movie a few days early? No. I mean, I like the premieres, but no. Here's a great example. Like I went to, I was at Valerian in the City of a Thousand Planets premiere, right? I was there. Me and Ann got all decked out. Went to the Valerian City of a Thousand Planets premiere. It was fun, but am I going to give a great review to a bad movie just because I was at the premiere? No. The movie wasn't a dumpster fire or anything like that, but it also wasn't very good. Great visuals, all that kind of stuff. And I said all that in my review. It's great visuals, had some things going for it, but overall, not something you're going to really want to jump up and down and go see. Am I going to change this because I was at the dumb premiere? No. I mean, it just is what it is. You know, I was at the Wrinkle in Time premiere for Disney. Am I going to come out of that? I mean, it was fun. It's a fun thing. Yeah, I'm at the premiere. Woo, yay. And it's fun. Is that going to stop me from telling you that the movie's bad? No. It ain't going to stop me from telling you that the movie's bad. It's not going to stop any critic from telling you that the movie's bad. Because these things, a DVD, woo, waste your whole day and go to a press junket, woo, waste 2 days of your life to be on set for a couple of hours and fly home, woo. No, nobody's going to jeopardize or compromise their career for things that are so small and so stupid. And again, I get it. From the outside, if you're not a part of this industry, it looks like it's all cool and glamorous. I get it. It does from the outside. But please take my word for it that if you get into this industry, it's going to get real tired real fast. It'll get real tired real fast. I love the movies, and I love talking about movies. I do not like going to press junkets. I don't necessarily love getting screeners. I don't love going to set visits. I did go into premieres now and again, sure. But again, that's every studio does that because they want to make a big party out of their premiere. Is that bribery? Only if you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. The only way to look at that as any kind of bribery with a straight face is if you have no idea what you're talking about. And the only way you can have an idea, there's nothing wrong with that. The only way you can have an idea is if you're actually in this industry and you have to endure this kind of crap. But anyway, that's just me. Fair enough of a question, Lee, but that's my response to that. All right. Let's see. Where are we at? Okay, Ant Banks writes, If I needed a bodyguard, my pick is Amanda Nunes. Dude, look, I don't even like Amanda Nunes, but there's just simply no denying she is the baddest woman on the planet. She has completely decimated the two, what were considered to be the two most dominant female combat athletes in history, in Ronda Rousey and Chris Cyborg. She went in there against both of them and didn't just beat them, annihilated and thoroughly just delivered extreme destruction with overwhelming prejudice. She is without a doubt the baddest woman on the planet, probably baddest woman of all time, and she's not a bad choice for your bodyguard. All right, Vrinder Singh writes, I hope the new Terminator film doesn't disappoint me like the Predator did. But I'll be honest with you, I am not going into the Terminator with as high hopes as I did for Predator. Predator, my hopes were real high because Shane Black is just aces. He's got a long history of great success, and I thought he was going to deliver something great. The Terminator franchise, though, not so much. And when James Cameron came out before Terminator Genesis opened, when Terminator Genesis opened, do you remember James Cameron came out and said, I love this movie. This is a true Terminator movie, blah, blah, blah. And it was garbage. And the reality is James Cameron's not that involved in this new one. He can't because he's making 4 Avatar films, right? All at the same time. So I agree. I hope Terminator doesn't disappoint me, but I don't think it could disappoint me the way Predator did because my expectations and my hopes for Predator were really high. Kara Black writes, how surprised you at Aquaman's box office? I was not tremendously surprised, but unexpected. Like, I always knew it would do fine. I always say, Aquaman's going to make money. It's going to do fine. It's going to be a success. I didn't think it would hit 800 million, and it's going to hit 800 million any day now. But I didn't think it was going to hit 800 million, and it has. I would really more qualify that as unexpected. Not super surprised, though. Because, you had James Wan on there. The trailers looked amazing. There was a lot of reasons to be optimistic. So I never thought Aquaman would flop. I always knew it would be, most likely, it would be a success. I was not expecting 800 million success. But let's just put it this way. I'm not nearly as surprised about that as I was about Venom. Venom really shocked me. Venom was the one that shocked me. So, yeah, with Aquaman, I'll say more unexpected, but pleasantly unexpected. Let's see. Sebastian writes, little talk about Escape Room opening today. Why? Because it doesn't look any good. Nobody's talking about it because it doesn't look very good. I mean, again, that's all subjective. Maybe you saw the trailers for it and you thought it did look good, and that's great. But a lot of us saw the trailers too and just thought, well, this looks kind of generic and throwaway, kind of like a Saw wannabe movie. Now, maybe the movie's awesome, but the reason no one's talking about it is because the trailers haven't made anybody talk about it, and that's kind of the bottom line on that. Orange Hand writes, if Thanos was truly fair, wouldn't already decimated groups be exempt from the snap? That and his massacre of the dwarves exposes his hypocrisy, in my opinion. Oh, dude, I've been telling you all along. Thanos is a guy who sees himself as the good guy, but make no mistake, he is truly evil. He is truly evil. I mean, the fact, what he did right from the beginning of the movie. Heimdall helps Hulk escape. You're going to regret that, and stabs him through the chest because he helped the guy escape. He is evil. To get what he wanted out of Gamora, he was torturing Nebula. Give me what I want. I'm going to keep torturing your sister. Evil. What he did to the dwarves on Nidavellir. Evil. He's evil. He sees himself as noble. He sees himself as the good guy, and that's what makes him a compelling villain. But beneath how he perceives himself, he is a madman, and he's truly evil. Although he does not see himself that way, but the best villains don't see themselves that way, and that's part of the reason that he was so great as a character. Donaldo Martinez writes, with Mortal Engines doing way below expectations, does it hurt Peter Jackson's career? I'm not sure how far below expectations it did. Were Mortal Engines' expectations ever high? Like, at most, I thought Mortal Engines could be fine. Mortal Engines could be okay. It'll do all right. And it didn't. But I think that was the most optimistic thing anybody could say. Did Mortal Engines come in way below expectations? I don't think so, just because I don't think expectations were very high to begin with. Does this hurt Peter Jackson's career? Yes. Yes, it does. But notice I'm not saying it will cripple his career. But does this big loss on his record hurt Peter Jackson's career? Yeah. His name was, I know he didn't direct this movie. A lot of people still think Peter Jackson directed Mortal Engines. He did not. But he was very involved in this thing. And his name is all over it. Will it hurt? Yes. Cripple? No. Hurt? Yes. Let's see. Ant Banks writes, Phoebe Cates' pool scene in Fast Times at Ridgemount High. Oh, God, what an iconic scene that was for us guys, huh? At Fast Times at Ridgemount High, where were you when you first saw it, and did you instantly hit puberty? I still remember seeing it, but I was too young to remember like where I was when I saw it or anything like that. But still to this day, especially for guys, one of the most iconic film scenes of all time. Her coming out of that pool in it was Judge's fantasy dream and all that kind of stuff. Iconic scene of all time. Again, it was just I was just too young to remember exactly where I was, but I remember seeing that and I was like, yeah, pretty much instantly hit puberty at that point. Murray Reich writes, I saw yesterday Stan and Ollie. Oh, nice. It was great. Very heartfelt. It goes through good and hard times. John C. Reilly and Steve Coogan performances were spot on, 9 out of 10. Nice. I'm glad to hear you say that, Murray, because I thought the trailer looked really fascinating. And then I started hearing some mixed things about it. And so it's really good, and which disappointed me. It's really good to hear somebody like one of you guys say that you saw it and you actually really quite enjoyed it, because I want to see it. I'm on vacation, so I haven't watched anything other than Aquaman and Bumblebee because I took my mom to those. But yeah, I still really want to see this, so I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thanks for sharing your thoughts on that. All right. Sebastian writes, Aquaman didn't have Movie Pass benefit as price was $9.95, August 2017. If you adjust $1 billion by week's end, Black Panther even bloated, get A-list by January 8th. If you're trying to say that like Black Panther got more people because more people use Movie Pass, remember only about, I think, 6% of, they figured about 6% of the people who saw Black Panther saw it using Movie Pass. It's only about 6%. And remember, back then, A-List wasn't around. And Cinemark's Movie Club wasn't around. And Cinemia hadn't taken off the way it took off. So I don't think you can point to any of that and say, oh, there's a difference. Not really. Not really. I really don't think it makes any difference at all, to be honest with you. James Bonner writes, saw Aquaman yesterday. Great action and world building. If Shazam is even close as successful, I think DC will be on the right track finally. It's not just about being successful, though. It's about making quality. Because quality lays the groundwork for future success. What the Transformers has taught us is that if you deliver lack of quality, you might get instant success right now, but it lays future groundwork for failure. And that's what we saw with the last Transformers movie. And even though Bumblebee's a great movie, Bumblebee has struggling at the box office. DC needs to make sure they don't just make a movie that makes them money right now. They have to be focused on making movies that make some money now, but also lay the groundwork for future success. I think Aquaman did accomplish that. Not everybody loves Aquaman, but a lot more people liked it than liked a number of their other films. That's a good start. If Shazam can also be a really good movie, even if it doesn't make $700 million at the box office, as long as it's a really good movie, it will go towards building for the future, reestablishing the audience's confidence in the DCEU for future films. And that, I would argue, is even more important than making box office money today. It's thinking about the money you're going to make in the future. That's where their attention should be at this point. And fingers crossed, I can't wait to see Shazam's in my top 20 most anticipated. All right. Stubble McShave said, heard anything on the release of the Tolkien biopic? No. James R.R. Tolkien is the guy who wrote the Lord of the Rings books. Back in 2017, they shot this movie with Nicholas Hoult and Lily Collins as J.R.R. Tolkien and his wife. And I still have heard nothing about a release date. I still have heard nothing. I am now at the point that I'm doubting it's actually going to get a theatrical release. I mean, how can you not doubt it at this point? It's probably going to pop up on a streaming service. which is too bad because I was really excited about seeing this thing, but it looks like it's had no takers. So, but who knows? Maybe it will. But as of right now, stubble. No future information at this point. All right. Alexander Helmer writes, top 10 2018. 1, A Star is Born. 2, Vice. I just still wish I liked Vice more. I liked Vice. Thumbs up from me. I just wish I liked it more. 3, Infinity War. 4, Green Book. 5, The Favorite. 6, Spider-Verse. 7, Mission Impossible Fallout. 8, Black Klansman. 9, Won't You Be My Neighbor. And 10, Bumblebee. Yeah, I mean, first of all, I liked every film on your list. I wouldn't have Vice on my top list, but still, I still like that movie. I like every single one you've got in there. And yeah, Star is Born. I'm telling you what, Star is Born is going to be tough to beat at the Oscars. Star is Born is going to roll into the Oscars with a lot of momentum. Now, Roma is also getting a lot of groundswell as well, but yeah, going into the Oscars, I'm telling you what, Star is Born is building a lot of momentum. All right, Eric DeRigi writes, to the best of your knowledge, has there ever been a movie that was a sequel to 2 separate movies like Glass is? Or is Glass the first time this phenomenon has really happened? Well, that's not really true. Because you remember in Split, it's not like you had Unbreakable, totally standalone movie. And then you did Split, totally standalone movie. And then later they announced, guys, we're doing this movie called Glass that is both a sequel to Unbreakable and Split. And everybody went, what? Remember, that's not the case. Split itself connected it to the Unbreakable universe. They were connected before Glass ever got conceived of, right? The ending of Split shows the connection between Split and Unbreakable. So, in that sense, it's really no different than there being a Captain America, the First Avenger movie, and an Iron Man movie, and then eventually an Avengers, right? It's really the same thing. So, yes, this is a phenomenon we have seen before. But it does raise an interesting question, Eric. Has there ever been 2 truly separate independent movies that then later another movie was made as a sequel to those completely separate, isolated movies? That's a good question, Eric. And because, again, Unbreakable and Split are not that because those 2 movies connected themselves. Glass didn't connect them. Those movies connected them themselves. But has it ever actually happened where 2 completely independent ones got another movie that was a sequel to both? That's a good question. What do you guys think? Jump down in the comment section. Terrific question, Eric. I'd like to know if there might be one. And maybe there's an obvious one that I'm just brain freezing on right now, but I think that's a great question. All right. Stubble McShave writes, are Sony happy with the box office of Spider-Verse? Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, look, they had to be realistic. As much as Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is my number 3 best overall movie of 2018, the reality was there was a lot of average moviegoers when this movie was announced. It's like an animated Spider-Man movie that's not Peter Parker. Although Peter Parker is in it, has a major role in it. But I don't know how high their standards or their expectations should have been from the first place. Not to mention it was opening in this death window. So, right, look, the last I checked, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse has made around $230 million worldwide. But this weekend at the box office, its box office didn't drop by 50%. It actually went up. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse's box office went up this weekend. So it still has legs. 8 legs. Anyway. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse still has legs. By my guesstimation, the movie cost $90 million to make. So roughly speaking, it needs to make about $260, $270 to break even. It's at about 220, 230 right now. And its box office is going up. I think it'll break even. And quite frankly, if you had told me 3 months ago that Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse would break even, I would have looked at you. I'm not sure that it would have. I was probably predicting Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse might have actually lost a little bit of money. And it's going to be close. But I think they have a good shot at breaking even, maybe even making a little bit of money. And I think Sony's got to be happy with that. But again, it's going back to what we talked about before, right? It's not just about, Sony's not just trying to make money on a movie today. They're trying to lay a groundwork of excellence that gets the audience on board with what they're doing so their future movies can have success. And if that means starting off with a movie that loses a bit of money, but people love it and the critics love it and it sets us up for future success, they would take that as a win. I think they would take that as a win. And considering that thing still has legs and it might actually being a little bit profitable, my guess is that Sony would have to be happy with the performance of the box office of Spider-Verse. I think they have to be happy with it. Thrilled? Maybe not. But happy with it? Yeah, I think they should be. Let's see. Sharon Carter writes, thoughts on Tombstone 1993 and Val's performance. Oh, Val Kilmer was great in that. I mean, Huckleberry. Val Kilmer is great in that movie, and I love Tombstone. It's great. There's a lot of good performances in it, but man, I mean, I think it says a lot about it too, that when you ask people, when you think of Val Kilmer, what movie do you think of? I think it's probably even split between people saying Tombstone and people saying Top Gun, right? And that says something about the movie. I liked it a lot. Stubble writes, pick one to return to the movies. Rick Moranis or Mike Myers. I think Rick Moranis is enjoying his life. It was personal stuff that made Rick Moranis step away from the spotlight. I think with Mike Myers, it was a big part of him running from the spotlight was how hurtful the experience with Love Guru and how people responded to it was, and he kind of retreated out of the movies after that. On that basis alone, I'd like to see Mike Myers be able to return. I mean, he was great in Bohemian Rhapsody, but I really want to see Mike Myers return, you know? And with Rick, I think he pulled out for his own reasons, and I think he's happy. With Mike, I think Mike wants back in, so I'd love to see him have a big return. All right, Tyler Yeats writes, got A Quiet Place on Blu-ray for $13. What a steal. Also, have you read Pet Sematary? I kind of want to. I mean, well, I don't buy Blu-rays, so I guess $13 is a steal. Actually, $13 is because I know they can be expensive, so that's actually not bad. Have I read Pet Sematary? No. Never did read Pet Sematary. I know the movie freaked me out, the original, and I know this new one looks pretty damn good, Tyler, but no, I've never read it. I probably should at some point. I probably should. Let's see. Jay Bling writes, before you would say Aquaman should have moved out of the Christmas Murderers Row, now do you think it's Bumblebee? No, I still think it's Aquaman. I think as good as Aquaman is doing, it would have done even better in another window. With Bumblebee, I'm not sure Bumblebee does any better in any other window because Bumblebee had such an uphill battle to fight. Even more than Aquaman did. Like, the DCU is very divisive, but it's not a joke. There's still a lot of people that like the DCU stuff, right? Transformers become a joke. It had become a ruined franchise. And therefore, going back to that thing, Paramount is now trying to rehabilitate the image of it, not terribly worried how much money Bumblebee makes. They're just trying to see if they can get enough critical and fan love to set them up for future success. Honestly, I don't think Bumblebee was ever going to do all that great no matter where you released it. So I don't think it would have benefited from a release date change as much as Aquaman may have benefited. Look, if Aquaman ends up making $950 million, I believe still that had it opened in a different window, it could have made $1.1 billion, you know? If it makes $1 billion, I'm going to think that if it opened in another window, it could have made 1.2. I just think Aquaman had more upside going for it. And yeah, I still believe Aquaman should have moved. And as much success as they're having, I think they would have had more. But anyway, that's just my opinion. All right. Let's see. Where are we at now? That was Jay Bling. Chris Warden writes, hey, John, you hate a movie I like a movie you hate. Now let's argue about it online for the next 3 hours. I hate toxic fandom. Well, you know, I don't mind arguing. Look, arguing about movies we love or hate or whatever, that's all fun. It's when you start getting into personal attacks and you start making excuses for either people don't like or don't like what you like or don't like. That's when it becomes really toxic. But if you can have a good, energetic, heartfelt debate over movies and argument over movies you like or don't like, but still maintaining respect for each other while doing it, that's part of being a film fan, man. That's part fun. But you're right, man. It does get just carried away way too much. All right. Ben Sultan writes, quick thought. Which is more disappointing? The Vikings season with Kirk Cousins or Justice League failing to even make $700 million in the box office? Here's the thing. I am not terribly surprised the Vikings did not make the playoffs. A little surprised, yeah. Not terribly surprised. They always felt like they were just one player away from going over the edge, and it wasn't. They had a horrendous offensive line this year. Kirk Cousins was constantly under pressure. And no matter how good your quarterback is, man, unless that happens, I think Justice League, because, look, I never thought Minnesota was a Super Bowl team. I never thought they were a Super Bowl team. But I did think in the year leading up to Justice League that Justice League had the potential to be a $2 billion film. I wasn't predicting it to be a $2 billion film, but I believed it had the potential to be a $2 billion film. For it to come out and make $650 million, you can't overstress how huge that is. A movie that should have made $1 billion in its sleep makes $650 million and is the lowest grossing box office film in the DCU history. Yeah, most disappointing was Justice League. Even though I like the movie, clearly that's the bigger disappointment, at least to me. All right. Chanel Hope writes, in Wonder Woman, were Amazons portrayed as superhuman or Olympian athletes? Will the change in Wonder Woman 2 to match Justice League and Aquaman? Well, Amazonians are... They're like, Amazonians are like Asgardians, right? All Asgardians to human standards are superhuman. Some more than others, aka Thor. The Amazons are, compared to regular human beings, they are superhuman. Are some more superhuman than others? Yes. Some are more superhuman than others, aka Wonder Woman. And I don't believe you're going to see anything change in Wonder Woman 2. You're not going to see a single thing change in Wonder Woman 2 to match Justice League. They were always done in isolation. It's not like the Amazonians were an integral part interacting with other parts of the DCEU. They were always isolated on the island. So now I don't see them changing anything when it comes to that. Chris Warden writes, also, R.I.P. Yeah, I heard about this, man. R.I.P. Super Dave Osborne, Artie Funkhauser. I read that yesterday, heartbroken. Super Dave Osborne is one of the all-time great fictional characters. If you guys have never seen Super Dave Osborne, by the way, he was also a recurring character on Curb Your Enthusiasm. Go onto YouTube and just search Super Dave Osborne and enjoy yourself for the next hour or two. Super Dave was great. He was a part of a Canadian comedy show for a long time, then became world famous and all that kind of stuff. Super Dave Osborne with his genuine Saskatchewan sealskin bindings. I mean, Super Dave Osborne was amazing. And yeah, I was really shocked and surprised. And at the same day that I heard about Mean Gene passing away, that sucked. That really sucked. So RIP to both those dudes. Murray Reich writes, what would the biggest cop-out JJ will do to Star Wars 9 that would piss you off the most? Oh, the one thing that JJ could do, and I'm sure he won't. I'm 100% sure he won't. But the biggest thing JJ could do that would really piss me off is change gears and all of a sudden say, no, Rey is actually the descendant of a great force-using princess. La, 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 la. That would be the biggest cop-out. I said from the first day I came out of the Force Awakens, Rey needs to be descendant from nobody. She needs to be descended from nobody. No, she's Luke's daughter. No, she's Ben's granddaughter. And there were some theories out there that I went, well, I could see how you could make that happen. Being Ben's granddaughter, it's like, it wouldn't be the biggest stretch in the universe if they did something like that. But I said from day one, you need to make her what is most special and what would make the most sense would for her to be descendant of nobody. And if J.J. Abrams goes into episode 9 and retcons all that, then that would piss me off. That would piss me off. Anyway, Sebastian writes, it's cold in Southern California. 45 degrees is -5 for us. Fix it, please. Well, look, this is the one time of the year. By the way, it's never hit 45 where I've lived. But anyway, this is the coldest time of year. I remember 2 days before I left to come to Canada for my Christmas vacation, I actually turned on the furnace for the first time. I turned on the furnace. There was one day that I actually had to turn on the furnace in the house. That was the first time it's ever happened. So it's never too bad. It's never too bad. Okay, let's see. Eric Saul writes, Most anticipated for the year is Joker. You make good points about how films don't necessarily need to be an R rating to be dark, but for a movie like this, do you think DC is willing to push the envelope? Well, here's the thing, Eric, though. What do we mean by pushing the envelope? What does that mean? Push the envelope. It really all depends on your definition of that. There are narrative things you can do to push the envelope that would fit in a PG, let alone a PG-13 movie. Or is pushing the envelope saying, let's have the Joker say, fuck. He said, fuck. Ooh, now we're edgy and we're, so pushing the envelope. I don't know. I want them to push the envelope, but is doing something that thousands of other movies do all the time, pushing the envelope? Ooh, show a boob. Ooh, now we're edgy. Like thousands of movies show boobs. Ooh, Joker said, fuck. Now we're really pushing the envelope. Every movie I've seen in the last 20 years say fuck. So I guess it all depends, Eric, on what do we define as pushing the envelope? What do we define as that? Because for me, pushing the envelope is about doing things narratively that were gutsy. Doing things narratively that we didn't see coming. Doing things narratively that other films don't do. To me, that's pushing the envelope. Ooh, show her boobie. Ooh, is that pushing the envelope? I'm not saying, I know, Eric, that's not what you're suggesting. I'm just saying it really all depends on how we define pushing the envelope. I really want to see Warner Brothers push the envelope. It's Joker, it's Joaquin Phoenix, it's a standalone. Push that envelope. And if that means that narratively you're pushing it where it gets a little graphic, okay, go there. If that means pushing the envelope means getting a little bit more, I don't know, profane, oh, okay, maybe. But those are but two things in 1,000 possibilities of pushing an envelope narratively. So, they could. Sure, you could, but is doing thousands of other films do all the time, every day, pushing the envelope? I don't know. I would say no. I'd say that's just doing what everybody else is doing. You got lots of language in Netflix. You got lots of language on everything. Is language pushing the envelope? It's what everybody does. So I don't know. Depends on what they do. I will say this, though. I don't want them to play it safe. You've got a gold mine of an opportunity here. I don't want them to play it safe. Let's see what they do with it. And like you, man, I'm so excited, Eric. I am so excited. By the way, I love your Office Space. Your Office Space avatar is perfect. I love that. What would you do with $1 million? 2 chicks at once. I mean, you have to see Office Space to know what we're talking about. Anyway, thanks for the question, Eric. Okay, I'm Upset writes. Thoughts on The Upside. Curious if Hart can do drama. Well, look, it's based on an original French film. And I'm drawing a blank. It's really good, and I'm drawing a blank on it. It's subtitled, so you have to get through that. The Upside is actually a remake of a really good French film. I'm curious. I know I'm a Kevin Hart fan. I don't think I would have cast Kevin Hart in this personally, but maybe they know something we don't know. You've got Bryan Cranston in there, of course, with them. I'm very curious for the movie, partially because I love the original. But yeah, right off the top, I don't know that I would have cast Kevin Hart in that. But maybe it'll be Oscar-winning performance. We'll have to wait and see. All right, Sebastian writes, face it, Batman and Superman are jobbers for Aquaman. Based on what? Point me to the movie where Aquaman beats up Superman. Oh, it doesn't exist. So no, I don't think you're understanding, Sebastian, what a jobber is. Aquaman has never taken Batman in a fight in the movies, nor can he take Superman in the movies. As a matter of fact, he gained up on Superman with Wonder Woman and The Flash, and it went really badly. So no, they are not jobbers. I think you're misunderstanding what jobber means. Ben Rayner writes, R.I.P. Funkhauser from Curb Your Enthusiasm. He was great on that. He was great on that. But to me, again, he will always be Super Dave Osborne. He will always be Super Dave Osborne to me. And that's what I'm going to miss most about him, man. It's terrible hearing about that. But thanks for sharing your thoughts on that, Ben. Rami J. Royster writes, let's see. Bumblebee box office, $154 million. Can this movie be profitable? I'm going to guess no. It can't be profitable. Not at this point. I don't think it was ever going to be. I thought there was a possibility it could do okay. But I mean, again, they had to know that the potential for this Bumblebee movie, box office wise, was very limited because the franchise has been so ruined. And I think they knew that. They knew that going in. So like I was saying before, I think Paramount knew, whoa, we're going to make I think they knew they weren't going to make a Bumblebee movie and have it make $1 billion. They knew that. I think what Paramount, the frame of mind Paramount is in is the same I was talking about the other movies. Let's build for the future. Let's rehabilitate the image of Transformers. Let's get people thinking positively when they think about Transformers again instead of negatively. And let's build for the future, understanding that the way things are right now, Bumblebee's not going to make a lot of money on its own. I'm sure they were hoping for more than this. But look, for Bumblebee to break even, it roughly needs to make close to $400 million. And it just isn't. It just isn't going to make $400 million. So, but is that the most important thing to Paramount with this particular movie? I'm not so sure. Because in many ways, Bumblebee is already a big success because it won the audience over and it won the critics over, and that bodes well for what they may do in the future. But will this one break even? No, I don't think so. Tasty Dash writes, how does the Academy select a winner? Sorry, where am I here? How does the Academy select a winner for best visual effects if they only watch 10-minute segments? Are the clips chosen from the studio or randomly selected? Well, remember, nominees, the whole Academy does not select the nominees. The different branches of the Academy select the nominees for their respective branches. So, for example, sound editors. All the sound editors of the Academy, all the members of the sound editing or the sound branch of the Academy, they are the ones who come up with the nominees for best sound. It is visual effects artists and people in the visual effects branch of the Academy. They choose the nominees. And then the actors branch chooses all the acting nominees. The directors branch chooses all the director nominees, and so on and so on and so forth. Then once the nominees are selected, then the entire Academy votes on the winners out of the nominees. What the visual effects procedure is for that branch of the Academy, I don't know specifically. I really don't. But I'm going to tell you this much. If someone's in the visual effects branch of the Academy, they watch all the visual effects movies. They watch them all. So the 10 minutes, but from what you're talking about, probably the studios select a sample of their best visual effects, submit it to the branch and see what happens. But as far as the actual specifics on the inside of it, I'm not on the inside, so I don't really know for sure. But those are the general ideas of it. Let's see. Guitar Dude 513 writes, I believe HR is a breeding ground for monsters. Michael Scott, also Pisces Campea, in regards to the HR department at AMC. Yeah, you know what's funny? I was really lucky. When I went over and worked with Complex Media, who were that was the company that owned Collider. When I went over and worked with Complex Media, I really liked the HR people at Complex. I did. They kind of restored my faith in HR people and HR department because, my experience at AMC, first, I love AMC. I really do. But my personal experience, which forms my personal opinion, is the HR department is a bunch at AMC theaters is a bunch of sniveling, grotesque, vile, immoral, unethical, scummy dirtbags. And if you're somebody in the AMC HR department watching this and you heard me say that, I'm not sorry, because that is what you guys are. You're awful. Just pathetic, grotesque, awful scumbags. And again, maybe there's some other people who had different experiences with the AMC HR department, and that's fine. Ultimately, they are one of the main reasons why I left AMC. I could not tolerate being in the same organization as that group of demonic, vile scumbags. Just couldn't be in the same company with them. And if you had a different experience with them, that's great. And again, I'm only speaking from my own personal experience and my own personal opinions that have formed as a result of them. But yes, but thankfully I went on to another company where the HR department was actually pretty cool people. And so if you're not an AMC HR department, but you're part of an HR department and you're part of the HR industry, my faith was restored in your line of profession because of the good people I got to interact with in the HR department at Complex Media. So that was good. Anyway. Okay. Stubble McShave writes, I really want to see Stan and Ollie. You and me both, man. And hearing a little bit earlier that, was it Murray? I think it was Murray that wrote in that said that he saw it and really liked it. Only makes me even more excited to see it. So you and me both, Stubble. All right. Roman Bryant writes, do you think Dr. Phil could have changed Thanos' mind? LOL, love the show. I only think there was one man in the universe who could have changed Thanos' mind, and that was Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers, within 5 minutes, would have had Thanos weeping and crying and giving him the Infinity Gauntlet. And, then Mr. Rogers would have walked over and picked up a reconstituted Mjolnir and Stormbreaker while wearing the Infinity Gauntlet. Somebody, one of you guys who is an artist, please make that image for me. Make a picture of Mr. Rogers with an Infinity Gauntlet holding Stormbreaker and Mjolnir in the other hand, and make me that poster. Somebody make me that poster. I want to see that. Let's see. Abel Contreras writes, where are we at? Happy New Year's, hoping for an all-Texas Super Bowl. Unlikely, but I'm telling you, man, the Texans started off so bad this year, and everybody wrote them off. And then they just found their groove and became really strong. Now, I believe they're playing the Colts. Not an easy, because the Colts have been on a total roll too. Not an easy first round. And as far as the Dallas Cowboys go, the Dallas Cowboys, yeah, choke artists. I wouldn't hold my breath. But I mean, how can you not like JJ Watt? Anyway. Okay. Glue. Oh man, how do you say this? Oh, not glue. Give Luigi a ring. Okay, give Luigi a ring writes, hey John, Happy New Year to you. Glass is number one I'm really looking forward to. Loved Unbreakable and Split. So engaging. Keep it up, John. Listening to you at work at law. Well, thanks a lot, man, for being here. And look, I am excited for Glass. I'm very excited for Glass. I thought the Comic-Con trailer was great. I've loved the previews. The thing is this. I like Split. I didn't think Split was amazing. I thought Split was a good movie. Certainly a win for the Shamhammer. Absolutely it was. But, I don't buy into it the way... that a lot of other people do. So while it is one of my more highly anticipated films of the year, I'm not as excited about it as some other people, but I am totally down for it. I am excited for it. Can't wait to see it. And let's see how it all turns out. All right. BL Baller Boy writes, have you been watching Vice Kings? I miss Travis' film. No, as a matter of fact, when the main character, oh gosh, why am I freezing on the main character's name? Because it's been a while since I've watched the show. But anyway, when the main character died, I stopped watching the show. Not out of principle, I just realized all my interest in the show, Ragnar. When Ragnar died, it wasn't a choice to stop watching the show. I just realized all of my interest in the show disappeared. Which is too bad because leading up to that, I mean, Vikings is basically Sons of Anarchy with Vikings. I mean, that's what it is. But again, when Ragnar died, who was the Jax of the story, now I've heard other people say the show is still really good, and some people even think it's better now. That's great, but just no, I'm not keeping up with it. Unfortunately, I'm just not. Let's see. Alex Von Gollum writes, hey John, have you checked the Infinity War art of the movie book? It's harrowingly beautiful, a must-have. Check it out, guys. I have not, but I love these art of the movie books. Primarily Star Wars one and Lord of the Rings ones, but that sounds like it would be a real winner. So I've not checked it out yet, but I will, because that sounds like a really good coffee table book to have, because I bet the art in it's incredible. Guitar Dude 513 writes, Over under 35%. Shazam can top Justice League 650. Tough. I don't know. The one advantage that Aquaman had over Shazam is that at least, even though audiences didn't love Justice League, at least audiences were already introduced to him in Justice League. Like Black Panther was already introduced in Civil War before the standalone Black Panther movie came out. We've got Shazam coming in cold. 650 million is a big number, especially for a movie like Shazam, especially for them going for the feel that they are. But 35% is a good line. So I'll take the over 35%. I wouldn't say 60%, I wouldn't say 70%, but 35%, I'll take the over 35% on that. I will. I'll take the over 35%. Let's see what it can do. Fingers crossed it's good, because I have some pretty decent hopes for this movie. It's in my top 20 most anticipated. I hope it's good. If it is good, I hope it gets all the success that it deserves. All right, ZCM Zombie Costume Maps writes, if Glass is great, what is Sham Futures going to be? Well, just keep making movies. That's it. Look, Shamhammer has done a great job rehabilitating his career because, like Transformers, he was a guy that was hot who then became the running joke of Hollywood. M. Night was the running joke of Hollywood for a long time. I remember being in a movie theater when the trailer for Devil played. And it said, then when from producer M. Night Shyamalan came up, the whole audience laughed. They laughed. That's where his career was for a while. He was a laughingstock for a while. But, then he made that little film, The Visit, which is if you haven't seen The Visit yet, solid little film. A really solid little film. So I would recommend, if you get a chance to see that, watch it. Then he follows it up with Split. Again, I didn't think Split was super amazing, but it was, again, a nice, solid film. A good, solid, another win. Now, that's a winning streak. 2 in a row. Can he make it 3? If he can make it 3, will he be... Remember the magazine article called him the next Spielberg, and that was total BS? He won't be the next Spielberg again, but he will be officially back. If he can knock out 3 successes in a row, he'll start getting some other... The ceiling fan above my head is making weird noises. If it suddenly drops on me, I might have to tune off. Anyway, it'll be a winning streak, and he'll be back, man. So here's hoping. All right. Give Luigi a ring writes. Over under 40%. Captain Marvel is the flop of 2019 MCU films. Impossible. It ain't going to flop. Look, all it's got to do is make about $390 million to break even. That's it. You don't think an MCU movie can make $390 million? Yeah, no. And by the way, get out of here. Any of you guys there are people who use the word flop way too liberally. Get out of here with that nonsense. A movie is only a flop if it loses the studio a bunch of money. If a movie breaks even, it ain't a flop. Justice League is not a flop. Despite all the extra costs incurred with all the reshoots, it's still more than broke even. So maybe it was disappointing, but a flop? Nah, get out of here with that nonsense. Not a flop. No way. And there's no way Captain Marvel will be a flop. No way. Zero. Absolute zero. If you actually think a Marvel movie is going to come out and make like $300 million, you've got your head so far in the sand, man. I mean, it's your opinion, and that's cool. I'm just saying, from my point of view, that's totally sticking your head in the sand. There's no way this movie doesn't break, at the very minimum, break even. No way. No chance at all. Let's see. A Trey Gaming writes, saw Spider-Man and Bumblebee yesterday. That's a good double feature, man. Loved both of them. Got to give the edge to Spider-Man. Like the script better, as well as love the art style. I'm in full agreement. Look, you know me. I announced the other day my top 10 movies of the year. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is my number 3 best movie overall of the year, right? Only behind A Quiet Place and BlacKkKlansman. I put it in front of every other movie. So I agree, but man, yeah, that's a good double feature. Seeing Spider-Man, Spider-Verse, and Bumblebee on the same day, good double feature, and I'm glad you had a good time with that, man. All right, Devontae Brown writes, since you've laid out your thoughts on the risks of comedy, what do you think of the recent Louis C.K. situation now? I don't know. Look, the dude did some really stupid stuff, and he got humiliated for it, rightfully so. I don't know I don't know, Devontae, what do you want me to say? He did some really stupid, bad things. He's been called out and humiliated for it. He's admitted to it. And his career took some major blows for it, rightfully so. And now he's trying to make a comeback, which is good. Good on him. I mean, make a comeback. Great. So, I mean, I don't know what am I supposed to think about it? I just don't know. It's sad. It's unfortunate. It's terrible that he did the things that he did, and he put a number of women in the position that he put them in, and he has lost tens of millions of dollars as a result, and lost his reputation, and lost a lot of his gigs, and he got hurt for it, and he did it to himself. So that's really all the thoughts I can have on it, Devontae. Toonie2 writes, where'd he go? There he is. Toonie2 writes, Happy New Year. So Aquaman is the box office winner of this death date of December. What are your thoughts? Yeah, I thought it would be. Again, and we will see long term. Remember, I said I thought Aquaman would be the one that come out ahead. But I think long term, I thought Mary Poppins would ultimately pass it long term. But that was before I saw Mary Poppins. And then I saw Mary Poppins, and I don't think Mary Poppins is good enough. Now, Mary Poppins has much smaller drop rate from weekend to weekend than Aquaman does, but it's still not going to catch up because it's not good enough to get people running out to see it 3 or 4 or 5 times. And I thought Mary Poppins would be good enough to do that. And if it was, I still think it would eventually pass Aquaman. But yeah, I said from day one, Aquaman will win this weekend. And then, but Mary Poppins, because I was assuming Mary Poppins was going to be great, and it wasn't. But Mary Poppins will have longer legs and eventually pass it. That's not going to happen because Mary Poppins just isn't good enough to do that. So yeah, but not surprised. Not surprised. Nosferatu writes, my name is Talking Tina. Thank you for putting that horrific thing. What Nosferatu was talking about, I was just telling the story about the most terrifying episodes of Twilight Zone, the old classic black and white Twilight Zone ever. Talking Tina. My name's Talking Tina, and I'm going to kill you. Screw that. That I'm getting. Can you see? Can you visually see the hair standing up on my arms now? Just thinking about that damn episode freaks me out, man. It is the most terrifying episode ever. And I think you can probably see it on YouTube. Look up Talking Tina. Thank you so much, Nosferatu, for planting that in my brain again. Brian Cruz writes, are you a big Akira Kurosawa fan? Seven Samurai, Ran. Oh, yeah, man. I actually, about 6 months ago, I did this whole list of like Kurosawa films that you've got to check out. I did a big list of them. So go back, find that episode, and because yes, absolutely. And a lot of people don't even realize Magnificent Seven is a ripoff of, or let's say, a Western reinterpretation of Seven Samurai. It's just amazing. Then he's done films that dealt with like death and tragedy, and like he handled all of it, and he had such a cinematic eye. But anyway, I would recommend going back and check those out. Check out that list that I did. All right. Ivan Pietro writes, since Aquaman is a huge success for Warner Brothers, if Shazam is also a success, do you think Warner Brothers would consider doing a Justice League 2 movie with original cast? Nope, I don't think it'll have any. Look, I think Walter Hamada has set sail. And here's the thing. Walter Hamada is going to take Warner Brothers out of being this weak little reactionary company when it comes to the DC stuff. Ooh, this movie did a little bit better than we thought. Let's change our plans. Ooh, this movie did a little bit worse than we thought. Let's change our plans. That is what has led them down to a very dark place, being reactionary. Walter Hamada is not going to be reactionary. Whether Shazam does great or does badly, he is going to stick to his plan. And that's why I think the DC Universe today is in better hands than it ever has been. They're off to a great start with Aquaman. But no, I do not believe look, he's not going to do a Justice League 2 with the exact same cast as last time. No way that's happening. That's not going to happen. And that's not going to be affected by any success or any failure from Shazam. It's not going to affect it either way. I think you got a guy, and this is why I feel more optimistic about the DC movies today than I have in a long time. I think you got a guy in place who is not going to be reactionary. He's going to set his plan, and he's just going to stick to it. And so far, so good. I mean, eventually there's going to be another Justice League movie, but no, there's no chance it's going to look like the other Justice League movie. No, I don't think that's going to happen. Pelican Mike writes, John, how do you go about comparing movies earlier in the year to movies you recently have seen? Do you keep notes or have a letterboxed account? No, I just remember. I mean, it's not like I'm comparing movies to movies that came out 17 years ago. I mean, we're talking about movies that we saw just a few months ago. So it's not that big of a deal. So no, I don't have any kind of letterboxed account. I don't keep notes. But I talk about these movies every day, right? So I'm talking about these movies every single day. So, no, not that big of a deal. Not that hard, really. Mark Williams writes, Hey, John, are trailers cheaper to show on Instagram/Facebook/YouTube ads? Oh, absolutely, they're cheaper. Do you think this is now a better marketing strategy than giant and expensive billboards, bus banners, and TV ads? Thanks. You know, that's a long-running discussion and debate, and I'll tell you what I've been saying for 10 years about it. When Snakes on a Plane was coming out with Samuel L. Jackson, it was the first major movie that really put most of its oomph for its marketing into the online world instead of traditional. Snakes on a Plane was a flop. What I believed then is what I still believe now. The answer to this is not either or, the answer is both and. There are a lot of people, a lot of moviegoers who are not totally plugged into the movie world online, and they're not plugged into a bunch of social media and all that kind of stuff. The biggest impact for trailers is still in front of other movies in the movie theaters. Billboards still have a very valid and very real impact. But in this new era that we live in, we have a new place that people spend a lot of time on with their eyeballs on, and that's the online world and social media and things like that. So to me, it is not an either or. It is a both and. And what you're starting to see now is studios starting to divvy up the resources and the man hours they put in marketing in the traditional methods, which is still vitally important, and the new media areas, which is vitally important now. So, yeah, I think it's a both and, it's not an either or. That's just my thoughts on that, Mark. But anyway, very interesting question. Thanks for asking, man. Kev Dub9 writes, Sam Elliott starring in The Man Who Killed Hitler and then Bigfoot. And then the Bigfoot. I don't know if you're joking around or not. If that's a real movie coming out and it's just not on my radar, my God, I got to see that, because that sounds like the greatest motion picture in the history of mankind. All right. Oh, by the way, guys, please, I know some of you guys are still sending in Super Chat questions. We're already an hour and a half into the show. Please send in no more Super Chat questions. No more Super Chat questions, please. Because I am doubting that I'm either going to have time to get around to all the ones that I've got here, and I don't want any more to get lost on me here. All right. Let's see. Randall Guzik writes, John, do you believe that there are movies that may have been once called critic-proof or has that's gone away thanks to RT and social media? No, I've never believed any movie is critic-proof. No movie has ever been critic-proof. Because, as I've had the PR people in all the studios affirm to me and confirm, no matter how good a movie does, if the critic reviews were better, it would have made a bit more. Know how badly a movie does, If a great movie does badly, if the reviews had been really negative, it would have done even worse. There is no movie that would have made $5 million, but because the critic reviews were great, it made $1 billion. No, that doesn't exist. No movie does that. There is a certain percentage of swing that critic reviews will give and contribute. And again, all the studios have confirmed it. They've studied this. They've confirmed it. There's a certain swing that critic reviews will give it. It's significant, but it's not night and day. And it's a 10% swing either way. So no, I don't believe there is now, nor has there ever been truly a critic-proof movie. Because if a movie's going to do good, it's going to do good. All great critic reviews will do is add to it a bit. All really negative critic reviews will do is take away from it a bit. But it doesn't shift your starting point all that much. If you understand that, then you'll get why I'm saying that no film has ever been, nor will ever be, completely critic-proof. It's just not the case. Let's see. Jordan Marshall writes, "Hey, John, how are you? I'm great, Jordan. Thanks for asking. Just wanted to know how you started out in YouTube and the history of John, and any advice for someone who wants to do this for a living. Thanks, man." Well, Jordan, I get people ask me this all the time, and I will tell you exactly what I told them. I put up a 2-hour video on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and search John Campea Getting Started. And you will come across a 2-hour video that I did that talks about my personal experience, how I got started, but then about what you need to do if you want to get started in blogging, podcasting, YouTubing, whatever. I give some philosophy advice, some technical advice, all that kind of stuff. Now, yeah, I made it about 4 or 5 years ago, so I do need to refresh it. I need to make another one, but it's still all completely valid. I would highly recommend that you go to again, go on YouTube, just search John Campea Getting Started. It will be the first result that comes up. And watch that, and hopefully you'll find it useful, man. So anyway, thanks for writing in. Thanks for asking. All right, Jordan also then follows up. Oh, no, you double dipped, Jordan. I'm sorry. You probably accidentally did that. But I will answer your question again, Jordan. Hey, John, how are you? Just because, you sent it in, so I'll ask it. Hey, John, how are you? Just want to know how you started out in YouTube and the history of John, and any advice you have for someone who wants to do this for a living. Again, search YouTube, John Campea Getting Started. But I will also tell you this. And I start every conference I go to, and every time I go to a speaking engagement and speak on this, people always ask. People are always asking, what's the magic button that you press to get 5,000 subscribers right away? What's the magic button you press? There is no magic button. There's none. And if you go into doing it thinking you're going to have 1 million followers or whatever, just give up now. You're doing it for the wrong reasons. But do go and watch that video, and I hope you find it helpful, and I hope it'll give you a leg up as you get things started. All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, Jordan. And please, by the way, email me, john@thejohncampeashow.com. Email me and let me know if you found it useful, because I would really like to know that if it does, because I really hope that video is something that helps aspiring YouTubers, bloggers, podcasters do what they love to do. All right, Iconic Tyler. Sorry, had a big jump here. Oh, God. Okay, here we go. Iconic Tyler writes, where did I go? Here I am. Iconic Tyler writes, speaking of disconnected movies, Anne in Venom asks if noise is like his kryptonite. It's Marvel, not DC. Took me straight out of the movie for a bit. Why would that take you out of the movie? Look, nobody cares what's Marvel or DC. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. It was a pop culture reference. It's a pop culture reference. So in that world that Venom exists in, there are comic books. And one of the comic books is a Superman comic book, just like our world, right? So why would that pull you out of the movie? I have no idea why that would. Nobody cares. So I mean, first of all, as an audience member, it always sucks when anything pulls you out of the movie. So that sucks that it did. Hopefully you were able to recover fairly quickly though. But yeah, the bottom line is, no, nobody cared. It didn't pull anybody else out of the movie. I guarantee you that. It didn't pull anybody else out of the movie. But if it did for you, it did for you. But who cares? Who cares? Okay. Let's see here. Ben Rayner writes, if I had to put my top 3 in order, number 1, Lion King, number 2, Endgame, and number 3, Star Wars Episode 9, I think you're going to find a hell of a lot of people, not everybody, but I think if you really boil it down, Ben, I think a lot of people, it's going to come down to those 3 movies for most people in the top 3. It's going to be in any particular order: Lion King, Star Wars Episode 9, Avengers Endgame. That's going to be, I think, the top 3 for a lot of people. Certainly not for everybody, not at all. For some people, none of those 3 will be in their top 3, but I think you're going to find a lot of people, because those are my top 3 as well, obviously. All right, Jalen Robinson writes, I would love to see Moreland in a Spider-Man movie. I'll be honest with you, man, off the top of my head, I'm not sure who Moreland is. Sorry about that, Jalen. The Insight writes, what's your home theater setup like, or do you just wait to go to the theater to enjoy those types of things like surround sound? I've got a really nice but very simple home theater. I got a 70-inch TV above the fireplace, and I'm not the type of guy that puts a ton of money into my sound system. I bought a really good, like a $300 sound bar. I think sound bars are great, so that's what I have. I love it. It sounds great. It looks great. All I need. I've got some friends. I've got this one friend, Cliff, who has this 95-inch screen with 28-point surround sound with speakers embedded in the ceilings and in the floor and around. And it's impressive. It's really cool. I don't need something like that at home. So that's what my kind of setup is like. Let's see. Tim Rico writes, hey, fellow filthies, and you too, John C. Well, thanks so much for saying hi, Tim, and hey to you too. I hope you're having a good New Year so far. All right. Flip the USB twice. I love that username. Will Paramount consider Bumblebee a flop if it doesn't make $500 million worldwide? And if so, does this mean the Transformers and G.I. Joe movie crossover is the next step? Well, first of all, again, as we've been saying here, Flip, no movie is a flop that doesn't lose money. Bumblebee does not need to make $500 million to break even. It only needs to make about $380, $390, maybe $400. If it makes $300 million, financially it's a bit of a flop, because that means it's going to lose the studio tens of millions of dollars. But again, personally, I don't think they should do a Transformers G.I. Joe crossover. I really don't. I think that's silly. It's cool for a cartoon. It's cool reading it in the comic books. I don't think that'll make for a good standalone movie. Let's see. We've got one failed franchise in the Transformers. We got another failed franchise in the G.I. Joe movies. Let's put them together. I don't think that's the right philosophy. But if Bumblebee makes $450 million, not a flop. If it makes $400 million, not a flop. The problem is Bumblebee's not going to make $400 million, not at this pace and not at this rate. So it looks like it's financially, it will be a flop. But I think Paramount's okay with that, because I don't think they had unrealistic expectations about what this movie could do. I think this movie is about, again, rehabilitating the image of the Transformers franchise so they can have future success. That's just the way I kind of see it, though. All right, Pixar Fanification writes, any news on the Wicked movie recently? None. I haven't heard a single thing. I'm interested in it. I'm interested, but I've heard no new news other than what we talked about a while ago. I haven't heard anything new about it, but I am fascinated about it. So as soon as we hear anything more or anything new, I will definitely let you guys know about it. All right. Jordan Marshall writes, hey man, I was on YouTube and came across a video entitled John versus Grace Randolph, and in the thumbnail it has a Civil War written on it. So if there's actually beef between the two viewers, it just hype. No, Grace and I, we had a very public thing, but we unspokenly, we both just buried it. Like, Grace said something. I don't know why she picked a fight with me. I don't know why she started something with me, but she chose to say something and do something. I responded pretty strongly. And since that time, look, I have nothing bad to say about Grace Randolph. She has never bothered me since. I have never bothered her. I'm not going to sit here and make up drama or anything like that. But yeah, there was an issue that we had. She said something. I addressed it. And we've both kind of had this unspoken understanding ceasefire since. And, I don't bother her. She doesn't bother me. God bless her for everything that she's doing. Over there, she's had tremendous success. And that's great. And, I'm just kind of like, here's the thing. I'm here to talk about movies. I'm not here to talk about other YouTubers. That's not what I'm here for. I know there are entire YouTube channels that do nothing but talk about other YouTubers. I don't know why that exists, but whatever. Whatever floats your boat. But, there's a saying that goes around that says, and I believe this wholeheartedly, I don't like drama. I don't like getting involved with drama. And I learned a lot of things through the Grace Randolph thing, to be honest with you. I learned a lot of things. And since that time, there have been a few individuals that have tried to provoke me into something. And I just don't respond anymore. I just don't respond anymore because what I learned and what I've known for a while is that when you get in a shit slinging contest, the only guaranteed result is everyone ends up smelling like shit. When you get into a shit slinging contest, the only guaranteed result is that everybody ends up smelling like shit. And so, so there's that. So at this point, I have nothing negative to say about Grace. We had an issue. We seem to have settled it. And we've been totally hands off ever since. And I'm more than happy to have life go that way, as I think everybody should be. So there you go. Let's see. Richard Karate writes, what did Richard write? My 5 worst films of 2018. Sorry to bother you. Johnny English. Ooh, I passed on Johnny English, which is too bad because I really like the other Johnny English movies, but I heard it was horrible, so I skipped it. 3 Holmes and Watson. Also skipped that. Welcome to Morrowind. Also skipped that. And Mortal Engines. And yep, that's on my list too. Man, Mortal Engines is so disappointing. A lot of potential. That's when it really disappoints you. Like, sorry to bother you. I never felt had a lot of potential. I mean, I was looking forward to it, but it's not like I was super hyped for it. Johnny English, you knew it could be hit and miss. Holmes and Watson, we knew right away. But Mortal Engines, I thought had a lot of potential. And then it ended up disappointing us the way it disappointed us. And it left a bad taste in our mouths. And, we're left with what we're left with. All right. Call of Duty God writes, John, I just watched Hereditary and really disliked it, but Toni Collette was amazing and she got me through it. The car scene was great and her scene at the dinner with her husband and son was incredible acting by her. You know what? It's first of all, I quite liked Hereditary. I had my top 10 best films of the year list, but you raise a great point. People need to, like you just did, Call of Duty God, people need to be able to differentiate the performance of an actor from the overall quality of a movie. The performance of an actor will contribute to the quality of a movie, but you can have great movies, but that doesn't mean everybody who was in the movie gave a great performance. You can have a terrible movie, but that doesn't mean that everybody in the movie gave a bad performance. And, because I hear something, I hate that actor. Why? Because I hated this movie and this movie. Yeah, but wouldn't you admit they were pretty good in it? Well, I don't know, but the movie sucks, so I hate them, And I think we as movie viewers, if we really want to start appreciating the different levels and all the different things that go into movies, I think more people have to do what you just did, Call of Duty. Okay, Hereditary didn't work for you, but you were able to see past that and recognize that even though I didn't like the movie, that doesn't mean that all the performances were bad. Toni Collette was awesome in this movie. And I think she was remarkable. Now, that doesn't mean you have to agree with me, but what I really like what you just did there, Call of Duty, was the fact that you saw a movie that you didn't like, but you were able to separate out the performance versus the overall quality from the movie. And just because you did like the movie or didn't like the movie, to you in your head, that doesn't automatically mean the performance was either good or bad. You can evaluate both different elements in their own merits. And I like that you did that, and I think more film fans need to do that because I think you'll enjoy the overall movie experience, even movies you don't like, a little bit more if you're able to do what Call of Duty just did. Anyway, great observation, Call of Duty. Thanks for sharing that, man. All right. Ed Garm 1028 writes, so they finally decided to put Bumblebee this Friday on Dolby here in AMC Tyler in Riverside, California, since Mary Poppins was there. Ed Graham follows up, kind of upset that they decided to put it in a regular screen, but good thing for A-list. Gotta love it. When you coming down to AMC Tyler, John? Just kidding, part 2. Well, I just went to go see Bumblebee at the AMC Tyler Galleria in Riverside, California, just a couple of weeks ago. And it wasn't in the Prime Theater. It was just in one of the regular theaters and all that kind of stuff. But you just remind me of something, Edgarm. The theater chain, there's only one theater chain really in Canada. I mean, there are smaller ones, but really there's only one chain that really has a monopoly. and that is Cineplex. I have loved Cineplex, but my last 2 visits home to Canada have really soured me on Cineplex. When I get home, I'm going to do a video simply completely on why Cineplex has become evil. Why Cineplex has become evil. They were my favorite theater chain for a long time, but my last 2 trips home, particularly this trip, and I see some of the stuff that they do now, Cineplex is an evil theater chain. And that hurts me to say that because all of my fondest movie-going memories are at Cineplex theaters here in Canada. But I'm going to do a video when I get home about the various ways Cineplex has become just an evil company. And I'm going to do that when I get home. And hopefully somebody at Cineplex will see it. And hopefully they'll go, you know what, damn, these points are right. We need to change. Hopefully it'll do that. I'm doing it out of love because I want to see Cineplex get back to being a great theater chain again. But it's little things. And the reason I bring that up, Edgar, is because it's kind of connected to some of the things you just said in your comment. So anyway, I'll get more into that at another time. But yes, you'll probably see me at the AMC Tyler Galleria maybe about 7 or 8 times a year. I'm probably out there about 7 or 8 times a year. So keep your eyes open for me. When I was there a couple weeks ago, I had a couple people come up to me in the concession line saying, "John Campea, you're here in Riverside?" I'm like, "Yeah, I come out here all the time." But anyway, thanks for sharing that, man. All right. Richard Karate writes, if Brock Lesnar ever does come back to the UFC and fights Cormier, who do you think will win? I think Lesnar would take the title. No chance. No chance. No chance. Lesnar cannot beat Daniel Cormier. And here's one of the big reasons why. One of the worst defeats Brock Lesnar ever had was against Cain Velasquez. Brock Lesnar is all about his wrestling. And that is what makes him an elite fighter, is his wrestling. But the moment he got into the cage against somebody who rivaled his wrestling, Cain Velasquez, who is an NCAA Division I wrestling guy, as soon as he got in the ring with somebody who could potentially rival his wrestling, he got the shit kicked out of him. Daniel Cormier is not just somebody who rivals Brock Lesnar's wrestling. Daniel Cormier is a better wrestler than Brock Lesnar. Then don't even get me started on striking. Daniel Cormier is night and day different than Brock Lesnar. Daniel Cormier is in a completely different class of a striker than Brock Lesnar is. I'm a big fan of Brock Lesnar. I love watching him fight in the UFC, but he is going to get destroyed by Daniel Cormier. And he knows it. Brock Lesnar, he knows he cannot win that fight, but he's going to get a huge payday from it, so that's why he's doing it. But no, he has no chance. Simply no chance. He's just been, as soon as he gets in the ring against anybody who has a remote wrestling game, he gets exposed and he gets destroyed. And unfortunately, that's what's going to happen again. Let's see. And not to mention, Brock's over 40 now, right? So, yeah. Tominator54 writes, most anticipated: 1, Star Wars; 2, Avengers; 3, Lion King. See, there it is. That same 3, right? For a lot of us, it's going to be that same 3 in any jarbled order. 4, Joker; 5, Dragon Ball; Super Broly. I personally have no interest in that one, but whatever. I know a lot of people are. Again, good list. But did you hear that list I gave off at the beginning of the show? I listed off almost 30 movies, and they all sound great. This could be an amazing year, guys. Might end up being terrible, but man, this could be one hell of an amazing year to be a film fan. And lists like yours, Tominator, just kind of give testimony to that. All right, guys. I'm approaching 2 hours here. My throat is nearly completely gone. I'm going to rush through the next batch of questions. Again, I asked a little bit early. Please do not send in any more. But you guys have sent in, the ones who've already sent in, who've already sent in questions. I want to honor that you did that, so I'm going to get to your question. So just bear with me here as I get rolling here. ZOMG Ruler writes, will bad movies ever stop being made? Dude, making a good movie is nearly impossible. You can have a great script, everything looks like it's going to be good, and then you make it. Every studio makes a movie thinking their movie's going to be good. but it's almost impossible to do it. It's very, very difficult. That's why truly really good movies are rare. So, of course, everybody's going to try to make good movies, but often many of them will end up being bad. So, no, there will always be bad movies. Lyle Navin writes, most anticipated film of 2019, Detective Pikachu. Nowhere near my top, but I do have it on my top 20. I mean, that trailer changed a lot of hearts and minds, and mine was one of them, Lyle. Gabe Schembarger writes, please play the Arkham and Uncharted games, my favorites. I've got a lot of games I got to get to first, but I'm probably at some, and I've played a little bit of Arkham games, by the way, already. But I'll get around to some of those. But like I said, I got to finish Spider-Man, then I got to do God of War, and then I got to do Red Dead Redemption 2. So that's going to keep me tied up for a while, for sure. Let's see. Jay Boogie writes, over under 50% Mel Gibson's cameo in What Men Want. Oh, I'll take the way under on that. Way under on that. I don't think the filmmakers look. Mel Gibson is still a bit of a gamble, and people still react to him very divisively. I'm all for people having other chances, and I think he's done some really good work. But the reality is he's still very divisive to a lot of people. So I don't see how the producers of that movie would want Mel Gibson to cameo in it. I think it would be a mistake. I'll get a kick out of it if he does, but I think overall it would be a mistake. So no, I'm going to take way under 50% that he makes a cameo. It's possible, but I'm going to take the way under on that. Alexander Kent writes, best line in Spider-Verse, with great power comes great. Don't you dare finish that. Oh my God, that was a great line. Laugh so hard and still laughing. Great movie. Thanks for recommending. And you know what? That line is so great. As Miles, I don't want to give away too much of the context because it could be considered a spoiler, but all I'll say, Alexander, is yes, absolutely, man. That line was great. And I think there's some even better lines in the movie. The movie's so good. Again, my number 3 best movie of the year overall. Santaz Henderson writes, thoughts on The Last Samurai? Somebody just asked me that the other day. It's my favorite Tom Cruise movie. I also rewatched Definitely Maybe with Ryan Reynolds, and damn, that is a fine, feel-good movie. Okay, I already talked about Last Samurai. I love Last Samurai. Really introduced a lot of people to Ken Watanabe, who was I believe Ken Watanabe even I think he got an Academy Award nomination for that film. At any rate, I really like. I think the ending fell apart a little bit, but overall, I love Last Samurai. Definitely Maybe. Definitely Maybe might be my favorite Ryan Reynolds movie. It's beautiful. It's funny, but it's also got heart and emotion, terrific performances. I mean, look, when you're talking about my favorite Ryan Reynolds movie, you got Buried, which he was amazing. I think he should have gotten an Oscar nomination for Buried, by the way. You've obviously got the Deadpool movies. I like Just Friends, which is amazing. I think he's, who's he in that? Oh, I'm forgetting the name of the girl who stars in that with him. But anyway, but Definitely Maybe might be my favorite movie of his. If you haven't seen Definitely Maybe, Rachel Weisz is in it. Anyway, if you haven't seen Definitely Maybe, see Definitely Maybe. It's really great, and I think you'll appreciate it. Best Gaming, or Beast Gaming writes, independent movie with sequels. Avengers vs. Predator, Freddy versus Jason. Freddy vs. Jason had a... it's independent film, not indie films. Independent movies. Great example. Not great movies, but great example. We were talking a little bit earlier in the show about 2 movie franchises are completely independent and then brought together in another movie. Excellent point, Beast. Those are 2 really good examples. Alien vs. Predator, Freddy vs. Jason. Unfortunately, the movies didn't turn out to be all that good, right? But excellent observation. Good on you, man. Good, sharp thinking, Beast. D Super writes, I love how Orm was just scraping his trident into the side of the submarine and hit the propeller. I don't think he was just scraping. I think he was actually tearing open the side of the sub. Now, I've seen the movie 3 times. You'd think I should know for sure if that's what he did. But I think he wasn't just scraping. I think he actually tore a hole, a big long hole down the side of the sub and then the sub. I could be wrong about that, but I think that's what he did. But yeah, fun movie. I've seen it 3 times in theaters. Probably go see it again when I get home. All right. Eric DeRigi writes, if comic book movies keep following these epic event stories like their comic book counterparts, they too will also be suffering a drought or event fatigue soon, like us comic book readers as well. Yes, which is one of the reasons, Eric, why I have said for a long time Comic book movies and studios need to keep changing gears. It can't be save the universe, save the universe, save the universe. Now the bigger bad guy, now a bigger bad guy, now a bigger bad guy. It can't just do that. You'll get the law of diminishing returns if you keep doing that. What they need to do is keep shifting gears. Go from save the universe to save the neighborhood. Go from a epic-like feel of an Infinity War to a political drama like Winter Soldier. To go from a comedy like an Ant-Man to the more wild, more mystic-y thing like a Doctor Strange. You need to keep changing gears. If all you ever do is save the universe, save the universe, save the universe. Now we've got Thanos. Now we've got, I don't know, Kang. Now we got Galactus. Now the bigger, now the bigger, then the bigger. Eventually you're going to hit law of diminishing returns and you're going to develop a fatigue for sure. The key there, keep shifting gears. Marvel seems to be doing that well. DC is getting itself reestablished right now, so let's see how they do that. But shifting gears becomes the key. It absolutely becomes the key for the longevity moving forward. Roman Bryant writes, have you ever seen the 90s Scooby-Doo movie? Scooby-Doo movies like Zombie Island and The Witch's Ghost. They were very dark and gritty and real monsters and great music like the Hex Girls. No, honestly, I've never seen them. To go one step further, Roman, I never even heard of them. I never even heard of these damn things. So no, never heard of them. But I'll tell you what, Roman, you've just put them on my radar now, so I have to keep an eye open, see if I can find what you're talking about there. Sharon Carter writes, Thanos no glove versus Freddy Krueger in the dream world. Probably Freddy Krueger, because you're in the dream world, right? So if it's in the dream world, I guess I got to go Freddy Krueger. I guess I have to, maybe. I don't know. What do you guys? Thanos no glove versus Freddy Krueger in the dream world. But even if he had the glove, he's in the dream world. Does it really count? It's not, because the glove isn't in the dream world. It's just a mental picture of the glove. So I'm overthinking this, I'm sure. I'll go Freddy Krueger. I'll go Freddy Krueger on that one. Eric DeRigi follows up. How come all the profits from the Marvel Cinematic movies have not led to decrease in comic book prices by Marvel? What greater marketing is there than getting your books in the hands of younger kids? The reality here is this. There's two realities you have to understand, Eric. Reality number one, Marvel comic books and Marvel Studios, while owned by the same people, are two very different companies. They're two different companies. Reality number two, not all that many people read comic books. It's a shame to say that, but all you have to do is look at the comic book sales charts. The reality is not a lot of people read comic books. So, since not a lot of people are reading comic books, how good of, and comic books aren't that great of an advertiser for your movies because your movies are totally different than your comic books, right? The movies don't follow the comic book storylines. Even the stories in the movies that have the same title as some of the stories in the comic books don't follow the same storylines, right? So it's challenging. So that's basically, Eric, why one has nothing to do with the other and probably never will, to be honest with you. Daniel Luna writes, do you believe maybe Captain America won't die in Avengers 4, but he will be left back in time to be with Peggy, the only way we see him in videos? Well, look, there's a couple things to keep in mind here. Number one, that's making an assumption that time travel is involved in Avengers 4, and we do not know if that's the case or not. We don't even know if there's time travel. So I'm going to guess, look, you just laid out a very specific scenario. I'm going to guess again. I don't think that's what's going to happen. Number one, I don't even think he's going to die. Everybody said he's definitely going to die in Civil War. I said, no, he's not. And everybody said, yes, he is, John. You don't know what he's talking about. And he didn't die. Then they said, well, he's definitely dying in Infinity War. I said, I don't think Captain America is going to die in Infinity War. You're stupid, John. He's totally going to die. And then he didn't die in Infinity War. Now everybody's saying he's definitely going to die in Endgame. And it's possible. It is possible. But they don't need to kill him. They don't need to. So I don't even think they will. As far as the time travel thing, I'm not even 100% certain there is. Like, I'm guessing there's going to be time travel involved, but I don't think it's a certainty. My wife Ann just walked in. My whole family is waiting for me to go and have lunch. It's 2 p.m. in the afternoon here. I've gone much longer. And Ann just sent in a super chat that said, so hungry, needs sustenance, can't go on. I'm going to wrap this up. I'm almost done. I just got a couple more questions to get through. Okay. Nathan Oswald writes, now, where's Nathan? Just a couple more to do here. Okay, Nathan Oswald writes, I'm looking forward to the Child's Play remake since Don Mancini is not involved, but also cautious with the modernizing Wi-Fi AI and no voodoo possession. I'll be honest with you, I'm not a big Chucky guy anyway. I've never been a huge... I've appreciated a couple of the Chucky films as much as anybody, but to me, that is a character that got real tired real fast. And while I love the Chucky cameo in Ready Player One, I got to tell you guys, I have very little excitement for any new Child's Play stuff. Very little excitement. Doesn't mean it won't be great. I had very little excitement for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and look how that turned out. But as of right now, just being honest, I have no excitement for that. Eric follows up with, over under 37%, Daniel Cormier will be a WWE wrestler this year? I think he will absolutely be a WWE wrestler. This year? I don't know. I think it might be more 2020. So 37% is a good line. I'll take the under on that 37%. Colby Harris writes, now Ray is writing, we left for Burbank. Too bad you missed the flight. Okay. Colby Harris writes, I was sick when I saw Spider-Verse and didn't enjoy it as much, but I plan to see it again. I hope I love it like everybody else. Well, listen, Colby, the reality is maybe it's because you were feeling miserable and you're sick and that's why you didn't like it. Sure, that's a possibility. But listen, the other possibility is just it didn't work for you. Look, there are many movies that we see that everybody else loves that we don't necessarily, and there are many movies see that everybody hates that maybe we like. That's what happens. So yes, it is possible that maybe you being sick and you weren't feeling great, that might have something to do with your experience with the movie. But it's also possible that the movie just doesn't work for you, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's why all film is subjective. All right, last question of the day. Henry L. Johansson writes, Aquaman is great. You will believe... You will believe a man can swim. Of course, that's a play on the old marketing campaign for the original Christopher Reeve Superman movie. You will believe a man can fly. You will believe a man can swim. Well played, Henry. Well played. All right, guys. I apparently have my whole family that's been sitting around starving, waiting for me to finish this show so we can go and have lunch. Thank you guys for being here. Wow, this might be a record long open mic. But anyway, thank you guys for being here. Thank you for contributing all those great questions. It's going to be an awesome year. And listen, I'll let you guys know, I am actually leaving Canada early tomorrow morning to fly back to Los Angeles. So there will be no show tomorrow. But the John Campea Show is back on Monday, back in studio. Me and Robert Meyer Burnett. Really looking forward to having you guys there. I might even do a little bit of play and chat this weekend because I haven't played any video games for the last 2 weeks while I've been here. So maybe I'll do some play and chats over the weekend. But that'll do it for me for now, guys. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. I've had a great time. I hope you have had a great New Year so far. Have a great rest of your week, and I'll talk to you guys later. And, until next time, if I can find how I'm going to do this. Yes, there we go. Until the next time, everybody.